and welcome to Dave's Think Tank. Whenever I order pinball parts, if it's a small order, I like to pad it up a bit with items for inventory or small parts I want to replace, just to make it worth the shipping costs. I had a small order a couple weeks back and was looking for things to add to it, so I decided to replace this miscolored brown flipper housing on the Star Trek. I really think the Star Trek was a Franken machine cobbled together from all the old used parts of other machines. So I added two opaque red flipper housings to the list, one for the machine and one for inventory. But when my order arrived, I found they made a mistake. Instead of two opaque flipper housings, they sent me two transparent housings. And they sent me a red transparent button, a further mistake since I think it had likely accidentally just slipped inside the housing. I don't like to ask these guys to fix mistakes like this since they're on a shoestring budget as it is and I want them to stay in business. So I thought about how I could use this. It didn't match the Star Trek button any better than the brown one, so that was out. The Flash Gordon, though, is against a wall. So I could replace one button, and that would actually free up an opaque button housing for the Star Trek. And if I could put a light inside the transparent button, it might actually look really cool. Except there really was no way to get light into the button. The way this works, the housing goes through the side of the machine, like this. The button goes into it, and a metal plate completely covers the opening so that no light at all can get in. I thought about maybe putting wires under the metal plate to an LED inside the button, but pressing the button constantly would stress the wires, and there's no way it wouldn't interfere with gameplay. I figured there's no way to make this work, but I decided to try the button in the machine and play with it to see what else I might come up with. So I installed the transparent button and housing and shone a flashlight on it to see how much light might actually get through. I was more than a little surprised to find that light did manage to seep through this thin edge, and from there was able to light up the whole button. So let's go take a look at what I did. So here's the new button. Looks very unremarkable before we turn the machine on. And there. It's actually very well lit up. So let's take a look inside and see what it took to get this. So here you can see what I was describing earlier. We have the housing through the side of the machine. The button is inside that. When you press the button, it closes that switch. Here's the metal plate that I was describing, and I have managed to install a lamp socket in this little corner here, just lighting up the thin edge of the housing, as I said. And somehow or other, enough light gets through there, it bounces around and lights up the entire switch. A few other things you have to be aware of when you're doing this. There's an awful lot going on in this corner. There is the plunger. You have to make sure that you're not interfering with the plunger or the spring on the plunger, or it will not touch in any way. There is a ground wire here, and you have to make sure you're not touching that with the metal of the lamp socket. So I've actually put a plastic washer underneath this to make sure it's not touching. And you have to make sure the wires aren't going to interfere with any of that. Now the wires, you just bring the wires down here. You bring them across over here, you bring them up to here. Now I've left a big loop of wire here so that I can one day install a switch or a switch and housing here. to match the one on the other side, but that wire comes through here and just attach it to one of the lights inside the door here. That's all you've got to do. Here's another angle on it. I also put this piece of black tape on here to prevent the light from seeping up through the plunger hole through the apron. And here's what it looks like from above. While you're playing, you can see a bit of the switch from the inside of the game. You can also see a bit of that yellow washer being lit up over there. But because I've got that black tape on, you don't see the blinding white light coming up through there. So I think overall it looks pretty good. I should point out that you want to use just a normal LED, probably with no lens or no filter on it, so that as much light as possible just goes straight into that very narrow edge. And I just used an ordinary lamp, like that. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Let's play a game.
Gordon's alive. Escape is impossible. Look out, Clark! What a damn nuisance! Escape is impossible. Look out, Clark! Escape is impossible. Escape is impossible. Look out, Clark! Look out, Clark! Look out, Clark! The attack has begun. Look out! Escape is impossible. Look out, Clark! Escape is impossible. What a damn nuisance! Escape is impossible. Escape is impossible. Escape is impossible. You've saved your life. Have a nice day. Yeah!